Hello class, welcome to our today's lesson, and our unit is communication skills, and today we are going to have a brief review of what we have concerning the same. Now, communication, in terms of the ideal issues, it is the spirit of ensuring information leaves the point of inception and it is able to reach the point of consumption all the way from the sender, who is the author of the message, to the sender, who is the consumer of the message. So when we talk about the spirit of communication, then we are duly assisting ourselves to understand the aspect of exchanging information or passing information or even an idea or even a thought from one point to another. And when we are doing this, we must agree on the following points. What you are doing must be between two parties. It must be legal, it must have an objective, and it must have an intended person. Meaning, if some of those parameters are missing in the activity you are doing, then it will obviously erode, or maybe it will erode what it entails when we talk about the communication spirit. Meaning, we can easily exchange ideas or easily exchange whatever is expected of us under that. So meaning, when you are dealing with this aspect of communication, then there is the issue of ideas, there's the issue of information, and there's the issue of thoughts. Now, across the point, all these things are going to come into perspective on what is duly expected and be able to share maybe what an individual or maybe a person needs across the point. One of the key areas that we fully acknowledge the spirit of communication, it means it is going to be a catalyst of something that brings people together to undertake a certain task, or maybe to clear something that is not well indited, or maybe bring forth whatever is duly expected. So this now drives us to the topic of purpose of communication. It is simply telling us, why do we communicate, or maybe why should we impress the spirit of communication? Point number one, we communicate so that there is what we call flow of information. Meaning, communication is like a river whereby you are able to deliver something from one point to another point. So it is utilizing the relevant information and ensuring this relevant information, it is able to reach the intended persons and share whatever has been given forth across the point. Because on the same spirit of sharing ideas, it means information that is at one point, it is like concentrated there. Meaning, we need to diffuse this concentration by sharing this information with others so that they are able also to get it across the point. But we must acknowledge, as we are sharing, it should go to the relevant bodies, because if you don't do that, you will not be able to achieve the intended objective. Number two, there is what we call coordination as one of the purposes of communication. I'll use the example of the Tower of Babel, whereby, because of poor coordination, I'm sure that tower never saw the light of the day, because people were not communicating, or maybe they were not understanding each other in terms of what is duly expected. So in an organization, communication becomes like a gear that is used to be able to ensure accomplishment of organizational goals. It is a smooth ride, because if there is poor coordination, because communication is absent or it is silent, then automatically we are going to have a problem or a big deal in what is duly expected. Number three, learning of management skills. So meaning, if we are enduring ourselves to the spirit of communication, then we are more like training managers who are going to actualize the perpetual succession process. And therefore, we are like inferring managerial skills into them and ensuring things like ideas, beliefs, perceptions, opinions, and other key issues that govern the organization, they are able to be indicted, or maybe they are able to be enshrined within the organizational dispensation. Number 4, it is preparing people to accept change. So meaning, when you want members of an organization to be able to follow maybe what is within the organization, it is always good to share ideas with them. People fear change, and therefore, if you force the changes, then they are going to resist. But if you share with them about the importance and the significance of those changes, they will easily embrace and collaborate with you concerning those changes. And lastly, communication develops good relations. Meaning, if we are sharing ideas, we are able to maybe indict ourselves every now and then, it means we shall be in a position to be in terms. Because people who rarely communicate, they rarely get along with each other very easily, because you don't know what the other person is thinking, or maybe what the other person is putting maybe into perspective, and that can be a major problem to whatever is duly expected. And lastly, it is a mechanism of also developing the junior managers, because also them, they want to come into perspective. So that leads us to the next topic, which is importance of communication, which means it is also in one way or another enshrined to the same. Like when they say basis for action, people make decisions basing on what they have been given, they have been told, or maybe they have received courtesy of communication. Meaning, we cannot make decisions from the blues, or maybe from just nowhere. Communication becomes a basis for people to make decisions, meaning actions are precipitated by the aspect of communication. Number 2, planning becomes easy, because when you have information, you are like having a reservoir of wisdom, and therefore, this is going to assist you to undertake any level of planning, because future actions cannot be undertaken without proper communication being put in place, because you can't plan when you don't know what you are planning about, and communication assists you to know what you are planning about. It is also a means of coordination, which we have seen also under purpose, meaning it is a tool that we use to harness efforts into the right direction, so that you don't do something that is going to be against your wishes. Number 4, it is aiding in decision making. And when we say aiding, it is like assisting, or maybe pushing, or maybe putting into perspective any decision we make. How do we also share it across the point? And then number 5, it is usually giving what we call effective leadership. Because somebody to be seen to be a good leader is an individual who is able to listen and even also to share ideas and information with his or her subordinates or members of the organization, courtesy of communication. And lastly, booster of morale and motivation. If you are a member of any entity, nobody talks to you, nobody gives you information, then it is purely going to demoralize you as a person. But when you are involved in the day-to-day running activities of the organization, then clearly you will not have issues in performing your day-to-day activities. The last item there, we shall look at what we call the principles of communication. And when we say principles of communication, it means communication is a very vital duty or a very vital aspect in the organization, meaning it is not something that is going just to be taken anyhow. So point number one, it is about, principle number one is about clarity. So meaning when you are communicating, make sure the idea and the information you are giving, it is going to be easily understood by the recipient. Because if what you are giving it is not clear, then the aspect of misunderstanding, which is going to kill the objective of mutual understanding, then it is going to be not, or it's not going to be achieved, because communication is to foster that mutual understanding. So if what we are sharing, it is not clear, then automatically it becomes difficult. Number two, it is talking about adequacy and consistency. Now, for adequacy, it means what you give somebody should be something that is going to really fulfill, or it should be the enough content the person will be able to get, so that whatever was amiss, the person will feel it is taken care of. Consistency is like being uniform and not changing every now and then when you are sharing your information, because if there is no consistency, there is pure room for confusion, and therefore it is going to make the spirit of communication become difficult. Number three, it is the issue of integrity. For people to listen or to get whatever you are sharing, also you must portray that as the author of that information, you also stand for those ideals that you are championing. Because if you preach water and drink wine, then automatically it is going to cause a clash of minds, and it is going to erode the spirit of integrity. Over the same, we have also the issue of integration. And when we say integration, it is just putting people together. So communication is a good way of putting people together. Number four, it is economy, meaning do the spirit of communication at a very cost-effective way, so that it is not going maybe to give people a rough time, or maybe share whatever is expected of them in due course. Number five, it is about feedback, and therefore it is good for the members of the organization also to give a reply, or maybe to give a response to whatever has been shared. Because if you don't offer some response, then automatically it will be very difficult for us to know whether the information reached, if it was understood, and if it was understood, then what was the reaction about it, so that we can be able to move on. Next, it is about ensuring there is proper network, that is in terms of engagement and also in terms of ideal issues. And lastly, there is the issue of attention, because communication can only be achieved if all the members who are participating in it, they are able to pay proper attention. So that is much about topic one. And if there is any question, we have the platforms we can share amongst ourselves. My contact is there, my email is there. You can be able to share, and I'll be able to provide more insight into it. God willing, we shall be able to start topic 2. Thank you.